Alright, so wasn't planning on doing too much today, but took the dog on a walk, then started doing some minor stuff to the outside of the house. I figured why not come out in the garage, so went and grabbed the camera and just going to be doing some small stuff, which I think is going to turn into some bigger things. So start by putting the alternator bolts on. I just had them sitting in there to hold it in place. So tighten those up. I might remove the belt for a second just so I could start cutting this crossover pipe and see where I need to cut it and bring it out. But I think it's going to be cut right along here. Probably put a pie cut or two in there to space it out just a little bit, and we'll go from there. But I know I've had a bunch of people, well, there's a LS Swap G-Body Facebook page I just started following. Everybody's been asking about turbo kits for G-Body. The On3 is not the way to go. You will have to modify it. I have other videos going over it and everything I've ran into so far. The first thing was the brake booster hits, so I had a buddy cut that, heat it up, and bend it in, and then re-weld it. Obviously, if you're using truck accessories, the thermostat housing will hit, so you might have to modify that crossover pipe. This side of the hot side is good. I might have to trim this wheel well a little bit just to keep it from melting. Also the cold side piping. So this is already modified a little bit. I will have to modify it some more to get it to fit properly with the intake side. So that's just a heads up. This video is not about the turbo kit, but it is not a direct swap into every G-body. It's designed around the Monte Carlo SS, but that still needs modifications. I said I'm running have a mocked up manual brake setup for now. I think I'm going to throw the brake booster back on just for now. It could change down the line, but that's the route I'm going. But you will have to modify it if you do go the On3. But back to this video. So I'm get the alternator all buttoned back up, and I thought I was going to put the tensioner on there, but if I'm going to cut this, I might as well just wait. So I'll probably cut it, and then what I'm thinking is space it out to where I need to space it, and get like a piece of cardboard and cut it to the shape of how I'm gonna need the pie cut or the spacing, and then get a section of piping and then get that welded up. So that should be fairly simple. And then I might even prime it a little bit, because last time I started it I didn't have any fuel pressure on this gauge or on the Holly screen, so I might need to prime that some more. If not, get the gas can and run to the gas station, get a couple gallons and throw it in here. So get that all buttoned up. What else do I need to do here? So yeah, I might have to take the intake back off if I do go with the brake booster back on there, just to run the vacuum lines. The vacuum ports on the bottom of the intake, so I'll have to get that off, get the hose adapter, or no, the hose adapter's on there. I'd have to get the hose on there and run it to the brake booster. So if this comes off, which I really don't want to take it off because, well, it won't matter. The fuel injector sit in there, but yeah, I could take that off, bend it back, get the vacuum line and everything thrown on there. And while I do that, I'll put the vacuum line on the my bad, it's too quiet. I didn't know where he went, so he just around the corner. But yeah, I put the vacuum line on the fuel pressure regulator also. So the vacuum stuff won't be done today. I may or may not swap the brake booster on there. The only reason I'm doing that is I don't want to modify these lines just yet to work with the manual brake setup. And I have a buddy, he was having problems with his manual brake setup, so I'd rather throw the brake booster on there now, hook everything up, see how I like it, because the turbo and the cam in there shouldn't cause too much of a problem. Should be fine with the brake booster. As long as I put the check valve in there, we'll be good. I won't have to modify the brake lines. I know they look kind of close to the headers right now, but once they're on, they'll be spaced out a little bit more. So yeah, I'll get that all buttoned up. Stop tripping over stuff. And I was thinking, well, man, that's dusty. Yeah. I'm thinking after I get all this situated, what's that off? That's gonna be, yeah. Get all this situated, I'll hit up my buddy and see when I could drop this off to get the extension on here, get that welded up. But after that, I was thinking about swapping out the gearbox on here, just something simple. But that may or may not be 2 different videos, just to keep the video shorter and more content, right? But yeah, let me get started on this. Before I get carried away, I'll probably get the dog back inside and we'll go from there. Come on. Come on. Alright, so got the turbo off, got the downpipe off, and what I'm thinking is a cut right in here. It'd be a lot easier if I had a bandsaw, take the whole header off. Just use a bandsaw, get a nice straight cut, but I don't have a bandsaw, so I have some cutoff wheels, or yeah, cutoff tool. So I think I'm gonna try to eyeball the straightest line as I can, and then just use a cutoff wheel and give it a nice clean cut, and then go from there. So I'm debating if I'm about to take the header off or not. So if I take it off, I'm about to put it back on after the cut to see what type of angle I need, or I could cut it on the car. It'd be a little bit more difficult, but I won't have to take the header off then put it back on. But yeah, I think I'll just take it off. So I think I had this pretty much cut to how I needed it. It would still help if I had a bandsaw, like I said, one just straight cut, but the cutoff wheel did its job. It's 2 pieces now, so you kind of see the gap that's in there. I have to measure it, and even if I had to just, like I said, get a straighter cut, put it on a sander or like a bandsaw and give it a nice flush surface, I could do that. But that's pretty much the gap I need. Well, that's a little extra, but it doesn't hurt. You see there's plenty of play in that crossover pipe. So what I'm gonna do tomorrow is, or I might do it later today, I might swing by Grind Schools and help them wire up the 88, and then stop by the auto parts store before or after that. So I think this is 2 1/4 inch inside diameter, so pick up some of that and cut about I think it's like 3/4 of an inch pretty much. Cut that out and then take it over to my buddy, at least like mark the angles I need. where everything lines up and have him weld on that extension. Or I might have enough gas where I could run a few tack welds. So if I could get a flush surface and then cut that pipe to the size I need and then just tack them on there, I could get away with that also. And so there's a little bit of play that I have in this pipe for the angle. So that's why it'd be a lot easier if I get the tack welds in there, and then he could just finish from there and just make it look nicer. I think he suggested make the cut on this weld here. I left a little bit, so about ½ inch, a little bit more, almost all the way around. So hopefully we should be good there. Like I said, I'll pick up the piping tomorrow or later today, get that cut, throw some tacks on it, and then take it to him and have him weld everything up. So I don't think it's going to be too much of a pie cut. It might just be a straight section, but we'll see when we get to it. I might take, like I said, take some cardboard and put it in between there, cut it to shape to see if it is going to be a pie cut or if it's pretty straight all the way around. Like I said, I could always take a little bit of material off either way and just have a straight piece, or yeah, just a straight section, just fill that gap. But yeah, that's what I needed, or else it was hitting the thermostat housing. So try to leave a little bit extra because, like I said, that swivel, the swivel one I have for the thermostat housing is a little bit thicker. So if I do have to angle the hose down or something, the swivel one will allow for that, where this one's pretty much just a fixed angle, I think right there. So I have a flexible hose on the lower radiator hose for the Elco, but this one I like to find one that's like pre-bent or something, so I don't have to, well, it doesn't matter, what works. It's working on the Elco. So if I have to go the flex hose on this one, I can, but I prefer to find one that just, you can pick it up off the shelf. But we'll see what happens. Alright, so coming out today, not sure if I'm gonna make this the same video or a separate video. Probably just have one long video of the crossover pipe for the turbo kit. So I'm about to run up to the store, took this section back off, just run up there, and I'm pretty sure it's just a 2 1/4 inch inside diameter pipe. So just take it up there, compare some pieces. Like I said, I don't need a big piece, probably just inch and a half maybe, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be like a 6-inch section or something. So go up there, find a piece of pipe that fits, and then obviously you want to get back here, try to cut it to shape. I'll probably have to smooth this one out a little bit, do a little bit of grinding or cutting to make that smooth. Same thing with this side, but what I'm thinking, I don't know, probably take some measurements or something and cut down the piece of pipe, cut that to size, and then just tack it into place and see how close I could get it. Amps, well, I've been back for a little bit, but I got a 2 1/2 outside diameter connector. It should be enough. The plan is, since this side is somewhat flush, I might have to grind down just a little bit. Let's see. So it's somewhat flush for the most part. Like I said, I'll grind down a little bit to fill that gap in, but get some tacks on there. But before I do that, before I mess with that, I'll get an inch cut off of here. So probably put a tape line, so it's a clean cut all the way around. Get this tacked on to that section of it, and then I'll put it up to here and then see what I need to take out from this side to make it nice and to to make it a flush fit. So it'll pretty much be an inch gap, which would just push this out just a tad bit and it'd be like that. So yeah, I'll be able to get the right angle on it and put a tack in there, then put a tack or two on here once it's all tacked into place. Take everything off and either attempt to weld it or hit up my buddy and see if he has time. Really just need to get a new bottle. I might have a little bit in there. Who knows? I'll give it a shot. If I run out of gas, I'll go get a new tank probably next week and finish it up. But yeah, that's the plan. So I know it's not gonna match exactly, but it'll be covered up for the most part. So let me get an inch cut off of here, get a tack put on here, and then see what I have to grind down on this side to make it nice and even. And we'll have a crossover pipe that clears the thermostat housing. Nice simple tape line, and our tape's an inch thick, so get that nice and even on there, and I'll just cut right along the edge of it. So hopefully I keep this straight. I really need to get a vise for the workbench, but until then, might just get this on there. I got a C-clamp or some type of clamp it into place and cut it. All right, so you guys can see it. Broke out the welder. I'm not the best. I'm still learning, still teaching myself pretty much, but taking suggestions from buddies and whatnot. I got the first part all welded up. I'll show you guys that here in a second. So this one actually didn't turn out too bad. Like I said, just a little Eastwood MIG 135. Turned out fairly decent. Like I said, I'm not the best welder, but I went ahead and did the whole thing, and it's looking pretty solid. I'm not seeing any gaps or anything, so you see a little bit of penetration through the backside, so that's looking good. That little lip, I think I'm gonna hit from the inside, so take it or cut the welder back on and put a little bead along the inside of there. But yeah, it looks fairly decent. Like I said, I'm not seeing any gaps or anything, so it should be good. Feeling a little bit more comfortable in doing the exhaust now. But like I said, the thin metal with like the floor pan I did on the 88 has some burn throughs on it, but thicker metal, I think I'll be alright. It helps, gives a little cheat sheet on the welder, so that helps too. But like I said, I'm gonna, well, I guess I could toss it on there now and see. Get a little bit of an idea. It's still hot, so I did have some marks. Yep, marks line up. Pretty good with that. So of course I have to adjust it a little bit. Might do a little bit more grinding on one side or the other to get it to fit more flush, but we'll go from there. So I'm gonna finish this up, and Robbie just hit me up. He's gonna start the wiring on the 88. He's been tearing the dash out, all that wiring out, so I think he got everything out. I'm gonna run over there, help him out, try to knock that out and see how far we get. But let me finish this up. I might have enough gas left to finish this, but I'll at least get it tacked into place to where I want it to sit, tack it into place, and then take it off the car and finish welding it. But let me stop talking and get to it. there we have it. I did everything off the car, took the header off. I didn't throw any tacks on when it was in the car. It's not the prettiest. The other side was a little bit better, but this one, it should work. I'm not seeing any holes on either one of the welds, so I think we're good to go. Like I said, it's not the prettiest, but it should work. So I'm gonna test fit it, and hopefully it should fit like it's supposed to. So I'll throw it on there, get it all buttoned up, and then I'll get everything together and head over to Grind Schools and help him with some wiring. So yeah. Alright, so there we have it. It is on. I kind of could, or this could have been turned slightly to help with not having to crank down the V-band clamp all the way, but it's on there nice and tight. I did loosen up that side to help rotate it just a little bit, so that's all buttoned up. Headers are nice and tight, well, except one bolt, one or two bolts still have to go back in, tighten those up, but it does have plenty of clearance for any type of thermostat housing. So this one will just be able to slide in there, plenty of clearance. Of course I left it off for now. I don't know where the bolts are for it, so gotta find those. But other than that, it's looking good. Hopefully my welds hold. Like I said, I did go through on this side and pretty much doubled up the inside. Obviously this side couldn't do that with, so had the heat turned up, so we should be good there. I don't see any holes or anything. I could clean them up a little bit, but I'm not saying they're close to it, but they're not too far off. I'm just kidding, they're way off. But it's definitely a lot better than my older welds. I am picking it up a little bit. Plenty of clearance for the belt and everything, so I'll button all this stuff up. Right now I'm gonna call it a day on the 85 and head over to Grind School. So get all this cut off, that's closed, unplug, get this out of the way. I'm not using the hood on the Elko anymore. The bed is a nice welding table, but eventually I'll get the workbench set up for welding and everything, so we do it all back there. But here was nice and convenient, didn't have to go too far with it. Probably when I get back from Grind Schools, I'll come and put the thermostat on, reroute the belt, get the turbo and everything hooked back up, and with that being done, I should be able to actually clamp down the cold side, all except for this one here. I need a 1-inch extension put in there, so drop these two pieces off to them. You either cut 2 inches out and put 3 in there, or just cut 1 inch out of here and put it in there. So whichever route he wants to go with that. Of course, I'm not able to weld that, or not even going to attempt to weld that. But this is just, I think that's aluminum steel, so I had no problem try my hands at that. And hopefully, I think all the wastegate or blow valve or wastegate, whichever one it is, it'll hide that a little bit, so I'm not too worried about that. But yeah, let me stop talking and call it a day. Alright, you guys will probably hear it. It might look a little different. I'm on the camera, or on the phone instead of the camera. So before I started taking all the turbo stuff off to fix that crossover pipe, I mentioned that the fuel pressure was low, so pretty much just priming the fuel pump just to see if the fuel pressure will come up. And it's tough to see, but it's still low, but it's starting to come up. It started at like 1, now it's all the way up to 18. So it's 18 there. That one probably hit. That one probably hit 20 something. That's 25 psi there. and I'm starting to get reading up here. So that is good for the fuel pump. Make sure I didn't have any other problems. But in the meantime, like I said, I got all this buttoned back up. Had to reclock the turbo a little bit. Fuel pressure is looking good. The belt is back on. I know a lot of people asking what setup I'm running. It's a LS1 style water pump, but it is truck accessories. And then the water pump has like a 3/4 inch spacer on it to line up with the truck accessories. That's another reason I had to extend that crossover pipe. So if you're running car accessories, you'll have the clearance for it, but truck accessories, you won't. Even sent the picture to my welding buddy. He said they look pretty good. Still use a little bit of work, but man, it's looking good in there. So let me see what the fuel pressure is now. It dropped 1 psi. It's at 24 now. So. Squeaky doors and all, but yeah, we should be good there. Yeah, it's 40, so. That's not good that it's dropping though, so something isn't happy. It's dropping fuel pressure, so definitely gonna have to figure out what that problem is. I only ran it for a couple seconds, so the garage was closed. Didn't want to run it for too long, but a little bit of fresh air in here. So definitely got to look into that. Something's not keeping the fuel pump going, or I don't know what's going on with that. So it is losing fuel pressure once it started. So that'll be a thing to tackle in the future, but fired right up after priming it a few times. Fired right up, no problem. I think the next thing on the car is going to be tackling the brakes. So I could order new brake lines and rebend them and everything, but I think for now I'm gonna throw the brake booster on, so that'll be at a later date. I'll get those swapped out. I know it's not gonna be that clean engine bay look in there, but it'll be all right. It'll kind of hide the bulkhead for the wiring a little bit, and then it'll hide some stuff over there a little bit, but for the most part, the crossover pipe is on. That's all knocked out of the way. Alright, yeah. And I think I'm going to go with the swivel mount, or the swivel style thermostat housing on it, just because if you look at it, the radiator hose would have to come up and I think squeeze in between here, and then you have the drain for the turbo also. So I think if I do the swivel mount and face it straight down, I'll be able to just wrap it around or under this pipe here and then into the thermostat housing, make it a lot easier. So I'm gonna have to see if there's a gasket that goes in here or not, or just the thermostat. So this one I believe is a 185. The one that's in the thermostat housing now is a 160. So I like the 160 in there, but wouldn't hurt run the 185. So I'm not sure if that just sits in there like that or if there's a gasket that needs to be in there, but I'll look into that and either throw this one on, find the bolts for it, or see what I want to do. But that one's definitely going to be in the way with the turbo piping, so I might have to switch that up. The bottom one might be a universal hose, and the top one I'll have to see what I want to run. I know on the Elko I have like a Suburban or Tahoe front radiator hose or top radiator hose, but I cut it down and shortened it a little bit. So probably don't want to go that route on this one. Be a cleaner look, so we'll see what I do. But yeah, I definitely want to find out the fuel pressure problem here in a little bit, but not tonight. Everything else, man, the camera looks good. Might start using it a little bit more besides the other camera, or the phone. This is the phone. I'm usually shooting on the other camera, but man, that looks good. I'd wish it'd be nice if this was black, so it'd hide a little bit more, but it is what it is. Probably secure these wires a little bit better, and that's about it. But yeah, I talked to my buddy today. He said just let me know when I need to drop this off to get that extended. But yeah, other than that, just getting there. I'm working on it. Still need to get back to this one. I might hop on this one tomorrow, swap out the power steering pump, and figure out what's going on with the fuel pump with this one. So we'll see. Definitely want to clean up that carpet a little bit, clean up this wiring and that wiring, get the speakers hooked back up. But it's not a bad little car, little project car. And on this one, definitely want to clean all that up eventually and pretty much get the whole car back together. But that's enough of me rambling. We'll call it a night. You gotta love that view.